Another day of cutting and modifying. On the list is we're gonna trim this little piece out right here, and this is double walled, so there's an inner and this outer. And the reason for this is after the modification to the strut mount up there, we're going to be pulling the strut over and further out, and it can contact this inner piece that is straight. See if you can see right there, it is straight across. We want it to curve out. That's exaggerated, but we want it to curve out this way. And this side is the hardest side because it has this dimple right here. So it takes I'm going to use some heat. See if I can get away with just using one of these torches, or if I'm going to grab the actual torch and get it pretty good and hot, and some heavy hammers. The best way I found to hammer it is just to come in here like this and just come straight in there and beat it till it's curved. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out right here. This piece, this bottom part, this panel, I'm going to kind of fold inside there so it curves up against this back piece. And then once I get this bashed out, I will weld that seam. So that'll make that piece kind of curve in. It'll sit nice and flush inside of the other one, and then when I weld it all back together, you know, it'll look like a good solid panel. It'll look like one piece, basically, kind of how it does now, just inverted. Maybe that's the best way to say it. The wiring harness is already moved out of the way, and make sure you tape that up good. You don't want any sparks and debris going in there, and the rest of the harness is kind of shoved here, so the harness usually lays right here. So I get that all cleared up, and I will probably also cut the ends of those sharp screws off, and also at some point we'll be stitch welding this right here, a little here, across here, this side, and then I like to try to stitch weld anywhere and everywhere I can get around this mount right here. So I'm gonna get started. that did not go so bad. It's a little bit easier than I remember. This is kind of the part that I hate the most, is especially this side. The passenger side isn't nearly as bad. But some heat helped. Huge sledgehammer helped, especially with this end. That pointed end kind of lets you get in a tight spot right up in here. 4-pound sledge, and this ball peen isn't. That's 32 ounce. That is not much help. But now you should be able to see how this is curving out, and it's not going flat anymore. And so that'll give the spring room on the coilover where the spring sits to not rub. And all this will get welded back into this panel, weld all this up like I said, and stitch weld everything. Stitch weld here, here, up here. I don't know if that's necessary. That's what I like to do. A lot of this stuff is just spot welded. You can see just the spot welds, and since we're taking the spring force from here and adding spring force here, plus more spring force than what was right here on the K member is now going to be applied to this area. I like to stitch weld it up. So I know there's been some people that may have just cut this and bent it and never re-welded it. I don't recommend that. So yeah, I'll get this gap closed in a little bit more and weld that all up. But right now I just wanted to show you all the cuts that need to be made to get this done. Hopefully this isn't too dark. The weather has took a turn for the worse. Cold and misty and raining. And the last thing that I did was modified this upper area right here, and still needed to stitch weld everything and weld that up. So it's not my greatest weld. I'm not the best welder, but late at night in the wind, I decided just to go ahead and get it done. I knew it'd be good enough for what I was doing, and get a little bit of paint on it so it wouldn't rust. I wanted to get everything just shot real quick so there wouldn't be any flash rust. And yeah, so got the ends stitch welded there. You know, it's nothing serious, just a little added support. And then welded this piece up. It's thin, so it's kind of tough to get in there and get it all how it should be. But I guess I just have to accept how it looks. But it will hold. That's the important thing. It will hold. It's structurally sound.